Masters in Public Policy from IIM Bangalore and was rated among the top 2% of doctoral candidates in the past decade for her research on infrastructure PPPs. Kalpana ma'am associates as visiting faculty, governing body member in the National Institute of Urban Affairs, IIMB, and many more institutes. With utmost respect, I would like to call upon Dr. Kalpana ma'am to address us.
Thank you for that very kind introduction, and good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
This is the right one. Yes. One of you is taking? Do I do it? This is the forward. So it's an exciting morning. Gradually we are all coming out of the shell in which COVID-19 had put us in, and we are learning to have less distancing and more interaction day by day. So it gives me great pleasure and privilege to be here with all of you. As a woman in a leadership position, I am frequently asked to speak on women and women's issues. On such occasions, I speak of ordinary women, not celebrities or heroines. I speak of those who have transcended their personal circumstances or adverse externalities and carved out a future for themselves and those that they love. I strongly believe that these individual stories together script a collective narrative of all women. In doing so, these ordinary stories of ordinary women, women like you and I, become a powerful, transformational, and extraordinary narrative of women as a collective. Next slide, please. The title of today's program set me thinking. We speak of empowerment easily and often. We use the term loosely as though it is an achievement. But what is empowerment really? The prefix M in empower troubles me, as though it is something that the more powerful and the privileged bestow upon the less powerful and privileged, in this case women. Indeed, if you look at the dictionary or the thesaurus, the synonyms jump out. Empower means to allow, to give power and authority. This is not just condescending, it's not even true, is it? Look back on your own lives or the lives of other women that you know. When I look at people that I admire, whether women or men, nobody gave them anything. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, not once or twice, but each time that they fell down or were pushed down. That includes me. I may look successful and fulfilled, but I was not handed anything on a platter. I have striven and coped and toiled. If anything, people around me made things more difficult, either deliberately or inadvertently, even out of a misplaced sense of protectiveness. The so-called empowered women struggled, survived, and thrived over many years, gradually, at times painfully. Each story is different, but one thing is common. These women built their individual capability, and this made them not symbolic shells who were given power, but the true architects of their own self-empowerment. Building capability, that is the key. Building capability rather than empowerment is a far more accurate description of my journey and the journey of many women that I know. If it sounds familiar, at least to those economics students here, building capability is the underpinning of the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen's capability approach. Sounds too theoretical? Well, let me make it simple. For me, this sums up my capability approach. Don't give me a larger slice of the cake because I am a woman. What I want is not just a bite from your cake. I want to choose the cake that I eat, its texture and flavor and color. And I want to learn to bake it myself. And I want to share it with you too, equally. The capability approach. What use is theory if it does not enable practice? Help us live a better life. Let me delve deeper into what constitutes my capability cake. Here too, the flavors and the colors may vary, but the three seminal ingredients of my capability cake are competence, courage, compassion. And let me unlayer these three concepts. Competence. This is the easiest, as it can be acquired, learned. Competence means being good, being the best at whatever you do. It includes education, a qualification, but goes beyond it. I could have used the word education, but it would be too narrow. My late aunt's formal education stopped at primary school, but her knowledge of the world, of people, was unsurpassed, and she was the world's best cook. Competence is your qualification, your special skill or talent, the value add that you bring to your task that no one else can. Competence cuts across professions. It applies to career women and to homemakers. And best of all, it can be learnt. Here is Suniti Manjuna. She's the little girl here. Suniti. Suniti is about 12 years old, visually challenged. I met her at the Asha Kirana School for the Blind in Chikmagalur in 2019, if I recall. Suniti, when I saw her, was completely involved in blind chess, and you can see her playing there. Perhaps others around her were aware of her disability, but she was completely unaware. I remarked in amazement, "You will be a champion soon, Suniti." And sure enough, I met her sometime in January, and by April, she had won the first prize in the National Blind Chess Championships in Goa. Today, we are not bound by a formal school and collegiate system. You were talking about NEP just now. Whatever your field of interest, knowledge is available at your fingertips on the internet, television, and a host of non-formal education systems. Use them all. Learn continuously. Be the best at what you can do. Second, courage. This is often innate, but it can be acquired too. And this is Mika. She is the second heroine of today's story. When she lost her husband at a very young age, she learned to drive and became a buggy driver in the KLE University in Belgaum. She has put her son through school and got her daughter married with her own earnings. All of us may not face such adversity as Malika, but there are so many situations, petty as they may seem, confronting a bully in your office, enduring an untenable situation at home, ignoring a rude remark with a smile, all of which require quiet courage and endurance from you. Sometimes you need courage just to hang in there when the world around you goes berserk. Stay in the arena, even when you are being pushed to its margins. In these times, what you need is faith in the universe and self-belief. In fact, to tell you an interesting anecdote of Malika, we shared her story as she was driving me around the university, and I said, Malika, I need a photograph with you. She said, okay, we can have a photo together, but I'll start driving from 7 a.m. so you have to be ready at 6:30 So she gave me the photo up at 6:30 a.m. and you can see that I'm in my nightie and she's all dressed and ready to go. Malika showed me the stubbornness not to give up. Not when anything happens. Never give up. Finally, compassion. For me, this is the most critical attribute of a fully capable woman. We are each a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a professional, but we are also members of a society, citizens of a nation. We are familiar with corporate social responsibility or the public responsibility of public servants like me. But there is something more. Each of us has a personal social responsibility. I call it PSR, which we have to recognize and acknowledge. This is our debt to our fellow women and men that we have to pay. Of course, you are busy with your job and your family and the rush of daily life. But still, choose some sphere that you are interested in and share your talent, knowledge, or expertise. If you are a good singer, go to a hospital or an old age home and sing to the residents. One of you sang beautifully this morning. You should do that. If you love poetry, share the delights of a Manonmaniyam or a Panchali Sabadam with the children of your neighborhood. This is Pushpalata. Pushpalata is a nurse and a NSS coordinator, National Social Service Scheme. She's a NSS coordinator. And here she is on COVID-19 duty. The exacting work never dampened her spirits. And after 1 week of COVID duty, she wanted to continue. We had to persuade her, actually force her, to take a break as per protocol. This spirit cannot be born of competence or courage. It needs that special ingredient of compassion. Let me go back to theory. When I began my talk, I spoke of the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen's capability approach. But my interpretation of the theory was through the metaphor of baking a cake. Why did I choose such a simple metaphor to speak of serious gender issues? There are reasons for this. Theory cannot remain an academic exercise. It has to be interpreted, translated, and applied in our daily life and work. It is easier to remember and practice a concept when it is expressed in simple, everyday terms. If I had given you a lecture on gender discrimination, it would have displayed my scholarship. But you will not remember anything of value to take away, and more importantly, to live by and to practice. But you will always remember the cake. The second reason is, while speaking of gender or other forms of discrimination, we speak of external factors. And it is true that social and structural issues play a large part in creating the problem. But the fact that the source of the problem lies outside us should not introduce helplessness or inaction. You cannot wait till the world changes. You have to effect the change in yourself, thereby becoming part of the solution. I believe that solutions to the intractable problems of the world are found most frequently by small, gradual, incremental choices of people like you and I. That is why I did not show you a Gloria Steinem or an Angela Davis. I showcased Suniti, Mallika, and Pushpalata. Third, I believe that every problem has a solution, and that solution lies in simple but substantial action, not symbolism. It is not necessary to shout slogans or join marches. Symbolic actions do have their value, but what will affect the substantial change are simple, ordinary solutions practiced with extraordinary diligence. Just like COVID-19, hand washing, social distancing, simple solutions but substantial impact. So my dear sisters and brothers, do not wait to be empowered. You build up your capability, your competence, your courage, your compassion. Help and encourage the women and the men around you to do the same. Your daughter, mother, sister, friend and frenemy. You can do it starting now. Thank you all. Try to.